Today's Real to Real is brought to you in part by Holy Family Passionist Retreat Center in West Hartford, Connecticut. Join us for a day, evening, or weekend retreat from now through June to nourish your spirit and renew your faith. For more information on men's and women's retreats, visit our website, holyfamilyretreat.org.
Coming up on this edition of Real to Real.
Leaving Mass to love and serve the Lord, Andrea Cook Hewitt cared for food insecure families. Her story ahead.
The Floriani Sacred Music Group, made up of alumni of Thomas Aquinas College, performed for the first time on the Northfield campus. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story coming up. And I'll introduce you to a Springfield College professor who's exploring how Marian devotion shapes the United States. It's all just ahead on this edition of Real to Real. Hello and welcome to Real today as we mark the halfway point of Advent. Marian shrines are places where the Virgin Mary is believed to have appeared to guide her children and increase their faith. Pilgrimages to these shrines are a journey into the heart of Mary and can make faith more tangible in daily life. Springfield College professor Catherine Dugan is the co-editor of a new collection of essays exploring how Catholics have used Marian devotion to make an imprint on the physical and religious landscapes of the United States. Dugan was the guest lecturer at the Elms College this fall for the annual Mary Dooley Lecture Series. The spiritual lives of Marian shrines in the United States was the topic of this Mary Dooley lecture, sponsored by the Sisters of St. Joseph of Springfield and the Institute of Theology and Pastoral Studies at Elms College. Catherine Dugan is Associate Professor of Religious Studies at Springfield College and co-authored, along with Karen Park, American Patroness, Marian Shrines and the Making of U.S. Catholicism. The book is a collection of essays by 12 different authors exploring the evolution of Marian devotion at the shrines across the country. I sat down with Dr. Dugan at Springfield College to learn more about how Marian shrines are shaped by the communities that hold them dear.
There's Fatima, there's Guadalupe, there's Czestochowa, and it's just sort of Mary as she pops up.
All the shrines in the book were established before Vatican II, and the book tracks how these spaces, once created for often a specific immigrant group, changed over time.
You can see the outline of the continent here, but you get this whole sense that you're like protected from nuclear destruction, and Fatima stands at the very top. So when you're inside, she's up at the top, and you're looking at this part inside the shrine.
Dr. Dugan explained how the Basilica National Shrine to Our Lady of Fatima in Lewiston, New York, has evolved over the years.
When you go to it, it looks like a bomb shelter. It was built in the Cold War. Nuclear weapons, all these concerns about nuclear destruction. That is not the same concern that we have now when we go to these shrines, and people have kind of reinterpreted the shrine space to be meaningful to different immigrant groups for different local contexts as people go to the shrine.
Each visit to a Marian shrine is akin to dropping into a conversation for a while, Dugan says, as she read a passage from the book.
In any conversation, some voices are dominant and some are quieter. Some conversations are pointed and focused on one or two topics. Other conversations meander, and new topics are added and dropped.
After the book was published, a handful of the authors got together to discuss their work. Dr. Dugan says each author has a certain affection and tenderness for the shrine that they wrote about. Dugan's essay focuses on the Fatima family shrine in her home state of South Dakota.
And what I love about this shrine is that Father Fox, who's the founder, he managed to link Our Lady of Fatima with Our Lady of Guadalupe to turn it into like a pro-family life, pro-life political commentary, because unlike most Fatima shrines, which are all about nuclear destruction and praying to save the world, This one doesn't have any of the communism concerns. Instead, it's all about family values and abortion. So he added this special shrine to Guadalupe.
Ultimately reflecting the way meanings get reinterpreted in different times and spaces, she says. And shrines remain popular all over the country.
One of the things Karen and I talked about in the book is there's something about Mary that kind of just overflows the expectations.
They are a space set apart, providing a comfort and healing presence for pilgrims. And for those who live in or near Massachusetts, Our Lady of La Salette Shrine draws thousands during this holiday season.
Like if you go out to the shrine in Attleboro, it's huge, right? Like there's a space for picnics, there's a space for like family gatherings, there's Christmas lights, there's hot chocolate, and there's Our Lady of La Salette at the center of it.
The authors of American Patroness hope that the next time you visit a shrine, you might look at Mary through a different lens and pick up the conversation where you left off. For a link to purchase the book, head over to iobserve.org. Now to an inspirational story for this season. Every parish has volunteers who work diligently in the background on ministries that serve its members and the community as a whole. At Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament in Westfield, Andrea Cook Hewitt was one of those women until her death in 2023. Now the message she quietly proclaimed by her work continues through her children, and her legacy inspires her parish family. Kathy Harrington has the story.
When I was a single mom, this church helped, and the Boys and Girls Club helped me.
Andrea Cook Hewitt shared her personal story several years ago as part of the Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament 2021 Lenten series.
Mom struggled once she was a single parent for many years, and she didn't know how she was going to provide for Eric and I.
My friend Andrea Cook Hewitt, who is now gone to heaven, but when Andrea was a young mother, a young single mother, she was able to benefit from having people help her with some food baskets, and she never forgot that.
A woman of deep faith with a devotion to the Blessed Mother, Andrea could be found at Eucharistic Adoration, praying the Rosary in the Mary Garden, or at the Schoenstatt Movement House. But this kitchen was Andrea's domain during Vacation Bible Week, making apple pies, Sunday coffee hour, even organizing the pantry and keeping it stocked. Contributions from the coffee hour supported a monthly meal at the Samaritan Inn. With the food insecure in mind, Andrea created a ministry more than 10 years ago, putting her faith into action.
When she was finally able to help and do something to give back, this was what she wanted to do, to give back to other families the help that we received.
A great loss when we lost her a couple of years ago, and she always had a great love for helping people all year long through, but certainly at the holidays.
Help for the food insecure continues right where Andrea left off. The food baskets at Thanksgiving and Christmas have evolved into large bags of food for families in need.
Her children are continuing the legacy for Andrea. Sarah and Eric Kubik organize this. They work with Father, they get it in the bulletin, they get the parishioners excited about it.
Creating a food chart for people to see what's needed, the board is quickly cleared. With each Mass, the donation box is filled. 6-year-old Riley helps to organize the contributions. The kindergartner learned from Grammy why this project is so important.
So people won't get an antibody.
Yep. Riley helped last year when we started it in memory of Mom, but this year she's been a really big help helping us. So I'm lucky to have her, wanting to help continue on Grammy's memory.
Kubik says there was never a doubt this food ministry would endure.
No family should go without, and so this is our way of doing that, is to come together as a parish, as a community, and to help families in the community, but also our church family here.
Food donations over the last 2 years increased significantly, according to Kubik. Father Bacolic says that is in part thanks to parishioners.
Our parish has always been unusually generous and kind, and everybody working together. It's a little bit from a lot of people, but it makes a big difference.
4 families in the parish anonymously received the food supplies, as well as 1 family at each of 4 elementary schools in Westfield. Based on the size of the family, volunteers fill the bags with enough groceries.
So Thanksgiving, we had a family of 9, we had a family of 8, and so usually the larger families, we try to give them extra so that they have even just some spare food in their cabinets. Even though we give a complete meal, we still want to make sure that all the families have extra.
Days before Christmas, the bags are delivered to each school, destined for a family that may not regularly receive assistance, but just needs a helping hand. Volunteer Nancy Butler has helped with the project since the beginning.
When we deliver them to the school, we don't see the people, but the teachers that come and help bring all that in, they're very appreciative. So yes, we know that the people are appreciative.
Never forgetting her financial challenges as a young mother, Andrea Cook Hewitt's legacy is her faith and devotion to helping others, reminding us all of the enduring nature of kindness and love, how it connects us, sustains us, and reaches beyond our time to make our world better. I'm Kathy Harrington for Reel to Reel.
What a moving story. Thank you so much, Kathy. And still to come on Reel to Reel, Carolee McGrath will share the spiritually uplifting sounds of a sacred music choral group made up of Thomas Aquinas alumni. And Dan Dumas will join us with some Reel to Reel news briefs. It's all still ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Today's Reel to Reel is brought to you in part by Holy Family Passionist Retreat Center in West Hartford, Connecticut. Join us for a day, evening, or weekend retreat from now through June to nourish your spirit and renew your faith. For more information on men's and women's retreats, visit our website, holyfamilyretreat.org.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio, and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
And now some events happening here in Western Massachusetts. St. Cecilia's Parish at 42 Main Street in Wilbraham will present their annual Festival of Carols this Sunday, December 15th at 4 p.m. in the church. Led by music director Todd Ravelli, the program will feature the parish's adult and youth choirs, piano, organ, percussion, flute, trumpet, and saxophone. The concert is free, but a free will donation will be accepted. The snow date is Sunday, December 22nd. Bishop William Byrne will formally inaugurate the Jubilee year with a special liturgy on Sunday, December 29th at 10 a.m. at St. Michael's Cathedral. Parishioners from parishes across the diocese are welcomed to attend. This Mass will be televised live on WWLP TV 22 News as part of the Chalice of Salvation program on that day. And the Star of Bethlehem, what did the Magi see? You are cordially invited to join Father Douglas McGonigal as he walks us through the science, ancient astronomy, and astrology, and clues to what the Magi saw in his fascinating presentation and book signing on Monday, January 6th at 6:30 p.m. at Our Lady of the Lake Parish, 224 Sheep Pasture Road in Southwick. For a complete listing of events in the Diocese of Springfield, check out the link at diospringfield.org.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel to Reel news briefs. The annual Purple Mass was held last month at St. Michael's Cathedral, a special occasion to pray for those suffering from dementia and their caregivers. David Martin has that story.
The Purple Mass was celebrated by Father Sin Trin, parochial vicar at St. Michael's Cathedral. The event is sponsored annually by the Knights and Ladies of St. Peter Claver of the Springfield Diocese to offer support and healing for patients, caregivers, and family members. Sharon Harris, the Grand Lady of the Knights and Ladies, shared that 11 years ago, the ladies discussed having family members affected by Alzheimer's and dementia, so they looked to God for devotion and strength in their faith.
We ask people to come together at this Mass to pray for one another and to let them know that they are not alone. Everyone is going through this walk together, so we know the power of prayer, so we need to come together. Just one day, if nothing else, we need this. And I thank everybody that's come out.
I say to the Lord, my Lord, are you?
Music was provided by the St. Michael's Cathedral Gospel Choir. November is National Alzheimer's Disease Awareness Month and National Caregivers Month. In the Bishop Marshall Center, Harris offered a testimonial about her mother, a jack of all trades, who kept her family together, but as time went on, Harris watched her mother's abilities slip away.
It is hard, it is a terrible disease, but God gives us the strength to walk through this. His love and His mercy is everlasting, and my mother, she had words of wisdom, even to her last breath. She was telling the nurses, I've got a word for you. And I tried to listen in, but I guess it wasn't for me to hear. And she shared.
People attending the Mass wore purple attire and ribbons, while the altar was also decorated in purple. In Springfield, I'm David Martin.
Now in news from Rome. Preparations are well underway for the start of the Jubilee year, including opening the Holy Door at St. Peter's Basilica. We have more on this report from the Vatican.
In preparation for the opening on Christmas Eve of the Holy Door in St. Peter's Basilica, a brief ritual and prayer service were held late December 2nd. As the archpriest of the basilica and other priests prayed, workers broke into the wall that has sealed the door shut since the Jubilee of Mercy ended in late 2016. The workers removed a metal box, tied with a ribbon and sealed with wax, that contains the handles and the key to the Holy Door, as well as Vatican medals, documents about the last Holy Year, and 4 gold-covered bricks.
Well, it looked a bit like a Hallmark movie on the sidewalk in front of St. Mary's Church in Longmeadow last week. Children from St. Mary's Academy surprised parishioners leaving Mass as they sang Christmas carols loud and proud. And just like every Hallmark movie, hot chocolate and cookies were available. Carolee McGrath has more.
Donning angel robes, Santa hats, and red gloves, more than 30 students from St. Mary's Academy in Longmeadow marched to the front steps of the church to surprise parishioners leaving Mass on a recent Sunday with a little Christmas cheer. They sang a mix of religious and secular Christmas carols, and the kids were in full voice.
He's making a list, he's checking it twice. He's got to find out who's naughty or nice.
What kind of songs are you guys going to be singing?
Santa's coming to town, Deck the Halls, Frosty the Snowman.
What's your favorite song, Romeo?
Santa's coming to town.
I love to sing, so I'm very happy that I'm doing it, because when I grow up, I want to be a singer and an actress.
The event was organized by the Parent-Teacher Association President Monique D'Alessio, and it was complete with hot chocolate and cookies for parishioners, as well as coffee and sandwiches for the students and volunteers.
You go over the top. This is awesome. What drives you to do this? the love of my children and all the other children. There's nothing more important than God, and important for the kids to learn to love God and be part of their parish and part of their school community.
She just wanted to bring some light and some love to the front steps of the church between masses. You know, it's such a great thing to have the school be a part of the parish community. And because the school brings people from all over the region.
After each Mass, Father C.J. Way-Takis, the pastor of St. Mary's, joined the children in song. Father C.J. says the event was a great way to encourage people during Advent as Catholics are to prepare for the birth of Jesus.
Every one of those little guys and girls, every one of us, absolutely, as a disciple of Christ, we need to let that light come out and shine, just like the stained glass windows in the church. Each and every one of us are like those stained glass windows. We have to let Christ's light shine through us.
The Christmas caroling event will be an annual tradition. In Longmeadow, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And we return now to Rome, where the Vatican Christmas tree and manger were recently set up in St. Peter's Square.
The Christmas tree in St. Peter's Square was illuminated, and the nativity scene there was unveiled during an evening ceremony December 7th. Designed by 40 artisans from Grado, Italy, it includes a fisherwoman's boat, the traditional casone, hut, representing a shared journey of faith. The Vatican Christmas decorations also include a nativity scene in the Paul VI Audience Hall, sent from Bethlehem. Meeting all the donors, Pope Francis emphasized the Christmas message of peace and urged prayers for those enduring the devastation of war, especially in Gaza and other conflict-ridden regions.
And finally, Bishop William Byrne paid a visit to the WWLP 22 News studios in Chicopee, where he dropped off some donations for the Toys for Tots collection drive.
How are you? How are you? How are you? Good to see you. Merry Christmas.
Fittingly enough, on the Feast of St. Nicholas, Bishop brought toys and other gifts collected by diocesan staff, First Friday participants, and the bishop himself.
So what a great joy it is always to give during the season. And today's the Feast of St. Nicholas that we actually delivered the presents. All the staff from the Diocese of Springfield did a toy collection, and then myself and some others dropped it off today. And it was such fun to be here, but also to think about Christmas morning when these kids are going to open these gifts and celebrate the great gift of receiving, and then hopefully someday they'll all be givers themselves.
And although the collection of toys has now concluded for this year, you can always help out this worthwhile cause by making a monetary donation through an online portal. We have a link at iobserve.org. There you can read more on these and other stories, including articles from our Catholic communication staff, as well as on-demand episodes of Reel to Reel. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those were your Reel to Reel news briefs.
A sacred musical group and alumni of Thomas Aquinas College performed recently on the Northfield campus. The group, named Floriani, has performed on EWTN and at parishes and shrines across the country. Carolee McGrath has more.
Nearly every seat was taken inside our Mother of Perpetual Help Chapel at Thomas Aquinas College the Friday before Thanksgiving, as students, alumni, and the wider community gathered for a performance by Floriani. The Sacred Musical Group is made up of 4 alumni of Thomas Aquinas who attended college on the California campus: Giorgio Navarini, Thomas Quackenbush, Graham Crawley, and Joseph Daly.
I co-founded this group with Thomas, Giorgio, and Graham nearly 4 years ago. It's an outgrowth of a student-led group that began at Thomas Aquinas College in California. the better part of a decade ago.
All four went their separate ways after college, but during the pandemic, they felt called to this ministry.
I was a high school math and science teacher in the Pasadena area of Southern California, St. Monica Academy, beautiful Catholic school, loved my job, and I was also the dean of students, so I was an administrator, and I had no plans to change my career. I also have a wife, and at the time I had 3 children, so it wasn't the plan to leave that job and pursue this full time. But the Holy Spirit started nudging me, and I reached out to my now colleagues to see what they were thinking about the possibility of making this a full-time mission, and turns out they were all thinking the same thing.
The mission of the men's choral group is to revive the tradition of Catholic sacred music. The group is a nonprofit and has performed at shrines, parishes, and for retreats in the United States and Italy, as well as on EWTN.
I think it's important for Catholics to recognize that we have a very rich treasury of Catholic sacred music that goes all the way back to the time of Christ. And it's part of our heritage, part of our patrimony, and it's something for us to own so that we can hand it on to the following generations.
In July, Floriani sang sacred music at the National Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis during the Holy Hour. Our very own Bishop Byrne led Eucharistic adoration that evening. More than 50,000 people were inside Lucas Oil Stadium for the Eucharistic Congress as Floriani sang and people adored Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament. Graham Crawley says the beauty of sacred music was part of his reversion to the faith.
It's really like being introduced to a church that I never knew growing up, and especially the music, in particular Gregorian chant. It's something that I knew existed, but I had never heard it in person, and so it kind of existed as this sort of thing that monks did, but I didn't think that it was relevant, or I didn't really think about it much at all. But being in a place where you would hear this beautiful sacred music week in, week out, and then of course joining the choir and being able to do that myself really helped draw me back into my faith.
This was the first time Floriani had performed on the Northfield campus, which opened in August of 2019 on property formerly owned by Northfield Mount Hermon Preparatory School. The California campus opened in 1971.
I knew all 4 of them on the other campus when they were students. I had 2 of them in class. And to have known them then and then seeing them now, what they've grown into, what they're doing with their life, what they're sharing with the church is just inspiring.
On the other side of Jordan, hallelujah.
In addition to performing, the group has a Gregorian Chant Academy and released a new album, Chants of Deliverance, Gregorian Chant for Spiritual Warfare. To learn more, go to floriani.org. Reporting for Reel to Reel in Northfield, I'm Caroline McGrath.
Hallelujah.
Thanks so much, Carolee. And to learn more or buy their latest album, you can go to floriani.org. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. To stay informed on all of the happenings in the Catholic Church locally and globally, log on to iobserve.org. There you can find articles prepared by our Catholic Communications reporting team and our partners at Our Sunday Visitor. That's iobserve.org. And we are also on Facebook, so you can follow us there at Catholic Communications. I will see you at this same time next week for another edition of Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Enjoy your week.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.